This is Ben from Common Knives, and you're listening to the High Carbon Podcast.
Welcome, guys. It's me, Paulie, and I am doing now the intro. Welcome to the High Carbon Podcast for knife makers, by knife makers, and Keith. So, Keith, welcome. We are just two together today, and we have a guest that we will speak to later, a little bit later. But first, bro, tell me more about your week.
I got fired from the intro, and now I'm not a knife maker. I made one knife this year so far.
That does not qualify. It was, as we know from memes, if you don't forge, you are not a real knife maker.
I thought that was like a 3-knife limit or something.
3-knife limit. You need to do at least 4, so for spring, summer, autumn, and winter.
Okay.
But one knife is you're just playing around. You are not getting it done.
I'll try better next year. Yeah. My week was lots of website development. I'm working on the new website for the Edge of Hope. So got a lot of content and all the knife makers from the last 2 years up there. And like all the info about our team and the stuff that's going on this year. And I can tell you that we got some great news a couple of days ago from our friend Carly at Damasteel.
No way.
So Damasteel has agreed to sponsor steel for the 20 knife makers that we choose. So we'll be getting a combination of steel. We're going to check. First, we got to finish our knife maker list, and then we're going to contact all the knife makers and ask them if they would rather forge and work with round steel. And for the stock removal guys, we can get them just bars of Damasteel in like 3 millimeters or whatever they need.
Oh, yeah.
So
Two questions. Cool. 2 questions. How many tons of steel will they get, and how do I get on the list?
First, you're going to be a popular kitchen knife maker, so we can sell tickets. And now for steel, I think we're going to, I don't know what she's going to send me, but we talked about enough steel for 20 makers, so I'm just imagining, I don't know, I'm not a forger, so I couldn't tell you how big the round bar is, but enough to bang out a kitchen knife. And same thing with the bar steel, like 330 by 55 by 3 millimeters, something like that.
I just imagine you you get all of the steel and you take, an angle grinder, and like, they don't need that long of a bar. And like,
just keep
zip,
cutting off.
zip.
I can make a bolster out of that piece of rope. No.
He won't use that. No, he doesn't need that.
We have one more guy that I haven't talked to him personally, but I heard through one of our other teammates that he's going to be donating some stabilized wood for the project. So we're going to have a pretty rigid theme going on this year. The only thing that the knife makers themselves have the flexibility on is what style of knife they make, what size, what shape, all that stuff. But it's going to be all Damasteel and all the same wood color handles, which would be cool for the final picture when there's 20 of them all finished in the case at Knife Show Austria, where we will display them. Well, it's going to be, I think it's going to be cool.
So it will be like the same pattern of Damasteel, right?
No, all random. We don't know what we're getting. She's going to send us, I don't know, like say 10 people want rounds, 10 want flat. We just get a random mix.
That would be cool. If it would be the same, like, the same handle, the same pattern, but different knife shapes. That would be...
I was hoping they would make like a special pattern for us, but that's asking quite a bit.
Yeah, that's too much. That's way too much, I guess. But aim high, and then you will fall down low. Yeah, it's fine. That is great news, actually. And it will happen on the not the next, but the next. So the Knife Show Austria.
Knife Show Austria 2026, October, what is it, 14th and 15th, I think? Something like that.
Yeah. It's on Austria's independence, so you should know better.
I'm American.
Yeah,
see, I can choose which one I want.
So convenient, Jesus. But it's like a tight deadline, right?
Yeah, I
Almost
mean,
for
yeah,
knife makers.
for knife makers for sure. Yeah, I mean, but still, when they get the email, that they're gonna wait until like a couple of days before October starts, and then I'll have to send them a reminder email, and then they'll start.
They will be like, "What email? I did not get any emails, bro.
Yeah.
We get emails." Anything else?
Yeah, one more. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but Pop's Tomahawks is gonna make us a custom tomahawk that we will give to the winner of best charity knife. So we're gonna have a little voting box or something like that where the visitors can all vote for which knife they think is the best out of the 20 from the display case at Knife Show Austria. And just like last year, the first night they do like the award ceremony at that big hall that we had dinner at. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll call him up to the stage, Pavel from Pop's Tomahawks, and give the custom axe that he made to the best knife.
Oh, that's so cool! I really
So
want
hopefully,
that.
yeah, hopefully that'll get these guys working. I mean, they always make great knives for us the last 2 years that we did it, but push the limits a little bit, put some extra effort, and maybe a win. He makes some crazy. I mean, you saw them at the show. He makes some really nice looking axes and tomahawks, and they are all like usable stuff. Like he uses some really good material, but they're meant for use too.
Oh, they are extremely cool, and I'm in talks with him. You know, I want to do some tradesies, Pavel. So we are talking, you know, doing some tradesies, but I would. Yeah, I mean, especially the pipe tomahawk that he did. Oh, that was so great.
Yeah.
And like everything, and like it's not only like you say, it's not only for show and aesthetics, but they are actually. I don't know. You take it in your hand and you're like, yeah, there is nothing wrong. I just want to chop something with it. So it's pretty good. It's pretty.
Every time I see him at shows, I go over to his table and I want to buy one. And I'm like, if I buy that, I'm just gonna hang it on the wall because I know I'm never gonna want to use it and like mark it all up and stuff because I don't like chop wood every day or anything. So I don't know. It's tough.
But he makes like tomahawks for people, some axes for wood. He makes different shit. And that's why I talked with him, and I really wanted because I daily chop wood because I have a wood stove.
Oh yeah, right.
So in winter time, I go chop. So I would love to use something like that. But the dude got married, and I think our project was a little bit forgotten. Pavel, if you are listening, write me a DM, you bastard.
Well, maybe he can change the pipe function out for an e-cigarette for you.
An adapter for vaping. There is your battery bank. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just sucking on the end of a tomahawk, and a plume of smoke is coming out. That would be so stupid. Yeah.
What about Polly? What did you do this week?
I mentioned a little bit to you that I'm so sorry to say this, Keith, but I cheated a little bit on you. I
thought something was up because you haven't messaged me all week. What's going on? What'd you do?
I'm banging on my chest and I'm saying I'm sorry. But I did not buy G10. I did not buy G10. All of my G10 comes from you. But I bought some micarta from Dushan, from Utrecht. Yeah, ordered 2 huge fucking sheets of green canvas micarta and the double black canvas micarta that you are also selling. But I'm cheap. I'm cheap.
No, it's not. You need a lot more numbers. So you can get the bigger sheets. It's worth it.
Yeah. And I love the shipping company that he uses. It's like super fancy. I never experienced, shipping like that. It usually the people come with a bus and they just fucking chug it, to my front yard and call it a day. It's fine. But with this one, Raben, I think it's called Raben, the company.
Okay.
Oh, they are very nice. And I talked with a guy when he delivered the very first 2 sheets that lasted me like a year and a half. I'm very efficient. I cut it to small pieces and use it, But he delivered me and said, we take care of everything. You see the sticker on top? And there was some special, priority, take care, royalty sticker. And he says, if you see the sticker, we make sure it's all safe and sound. And he waited until I unpacked those to make sure that they are totally fine. Yes. Yeah. Yes, because he saw like the carton on top was a little bit bent. And he's like, you need to check that. And I'm like, nah, bro, it's fine. It's like my cart, it's fine. He's like, no. Our service, we do. And he's speaking like that. He's Lithuanian, but I'm just, our service, we do good service. I stay, I watch. If it is bad, I send it back. I send it back because quality for us, number one. So, yeah, it was very nice. It was very good. So, yeah, I cheated. I'm saying, I'm sorry. But for like the last week, it's just a blur. No days off. I'm just cranking my hog, or how do you say in America? I'm just daily cranking it. And just doing, there are so many orders. I think the video that I talked on the last episode that I hopefully is recovered and people know what we are talking about. But the video that came out with me, I got like way more orders, and they are still coming in. And wow, I'm so grateful. You have to cut hay till the sun shines, or whatever they say to make hay. And it's, just grateful. But oh man, I was expecting that I won't have too much work now, but I'm now wishing to have at least one day until Christmas Eve. I would love that. That would be great.
Can you tell if they comment like from the videos? Have people said that they watched the video, or how do you know?
There were a few, but I have this like text window in my website, but sometimes people do not fill it in. From where do they know me, right? Yeah. But quite a few orders where they basically just wrote YouTube. So I guess it's from those videos. Yeah. So no, it's great. It's amazing. Oh, also I might, bro, like the exposure that I got. Now there is another biggish Lithuanian YouTuber. He wants to come and do a live stream in my workshop for like 4 hours. He's big in the live streaming, IRL streaming scene, and he wants to do a knife. But I am really on the fence with this one, because where the video is like cut up, like not a stream, you can edit the sound, you can make nice cuts, and there is a shit ton of grinding, dust collection, and it's kind of really boring to watch from the side. So I'm really on the fence to say yes to that. It's just on a question mark, but he's very eager. But I think I will pull the plug and say, nah, I don't want him to have a bad stream. He had one before. He was in a car mechanic shop, and it was so fucking boring. He had to pull the plug on that one too. So, and I also got a suggestion or asking. There is this company that is like basically a subcontractor that is doing advertisement for big companies, and a local freshwater company is doing a commercial, and they want me in that commercial. They are selling these like water dispenser thingies, that they have in offices. So they are like wanting to film in unconventional places, where people work. And I'm in the chats, and she's like, oh, we can do this, and this. What are your expectations? And then I'm like writing back, if I have to do this and this and this, and what is your budget? And then she's like, oh, how much would you like to be paid, as an actor, or do I have to show my face? So I have to respond now and come up with a number that she won't say no to, but I would also kind of feel it's a fuck you price. So I get paid.
For the fuck you price.
Yeah. How much, just quickly, how much do you think they say they will film for 1 to 2 hours of my time, right? And I think, the shop is not working for 1 to 2 hours then. And also I need to clean up my shop, right? And I will also need to show my face, to act something. What would be the appropriate amount to get?
I don't know. That's a tough one. 2
How much
hours,
would
like
you
three,
like? Yeah.
at least $300.
I was I'm thinking more of like 500
There you
plus
go. That's the
VAT.
fuck you price. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus VAT, bitch.
So they're gonna like video you pouring like ferric chloride down the drain, and then you drink fresh water from them or something. Or what?
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, they will give me a cup of Pepsi, and I'm like, oh, no, that's disgusting. Let me taste this fresh water. I have no idea. Actually, I have no idea, But she's, they are all so sleazy. They say, oh, it will be so easy. You will just have to, just show what you do. And they come in with like the full like army of like, now we have to put on makeup. Now we have to change this, change that, blah, 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 blah. And I think I could go with an hourly rate if they are over the time limit. That would be also cool.
You should. You tell them you're a busy man, and if they go over this, then the rate goes up to this, whatever. But I can tell you experience, I mean, just from hearing from Albert that they're just going to fucking take over your shop. And I don't know. Depends on if you care about that or not. But if they got like a full camera crew coming in, they just do whatever they want and tell you to say whatever you want. But I don't know. I think you're too busy for it right now.
Yes, I am. But if I do an hourly rate of 2,050 or 250 plus VAT, and they can stay the whole fucking day if they want. They can stay for 20 hours. I would be happy to write an invoice for that much. When they come, I just press on my watch, beep. The time is running, bitch. It's done.
Well, it feels like our guest might have been waiting for 20 hours now that you mention it, though. So maybe we should introduce him.
Go, please be my guest.
We have Philip from Steel for Good. Welcome, Philip, to the show.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
What was Philip's week like? Did you do anything exciting?
It's just been we got a fair bit of snow in my area, so you got your regular days, and then you gotta get up and get rid of all of that. So that's always fun. And I've been working with talking to a few different makers regarding different aspects of different projects. So you never know how that's gonna work out. But yes, there's always something happening. For sure. My days are more full than they're empty.
Well, before we get into any of that project talk, why don't you tell us a little bit about Steel for Good and what it is that you do?
Sure. So Steel for Good is a charity project that I came up with as a byproduct of my other Instagram account, Steel for Food, which was initially intended just as a way to kind of, I guess, push back a little bit on the restrictions that Instagram had on knife makers. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to, their work to be able to be seen by different people. And so even though I'm not sure how much I helped, I've always tried to get the word out. And I've always been really interested in the collaborative works of different makers and how they pool together to help each other. So I had this idea initially to have one single knife that different makers would contribute to, and then one maker would have to make something out of the random items that were sent to them that they wouldn't know what was coming. But there was so much interest in my project that I realized it wasn't going to just be one piece, and it wasn't going to just be a one-off. So it ended up having makers from Europe, the Australia, New Zealand area, the United States, Canada, South America, basically all over that said they wanted to kind of do this kind of global collaboration. So we've got probably anywhere between 10 and 12 knives that are in different processes of being completed, and then they're going to become and usually 2 to 3 makers that have collaborated on different aspects of each knife, and then we will have those knives be made available on auction in the spring of 2026. We're getting some help from Peter at Modern Cooking to help out with the auction process. I'm basically facilitating all of the different makers working together, coming up with the concepts and the work, the breakdown of the work. We've also had some donations from Dama Steel and Apex Ultra for the makers to have some steel to work with, depending on how they wanted to approach the project. But that's it in a nutshell, as far as I ever say anything in a nutshell.
So Peter's going to get all the finished knives and auction them off through his website. Is that how it's going to work?
That's the idea, is to have them all together. Obviously, they'll be done at different times, but they're all good before they're all completed, or when they are all completed. Then they'll end up in Australia with so Peter can take his photographs and we can get those auctions created.
Yeah, it sounds like a good way to get get some more coverage and get them out to some of the collectors and stuff like that. Peter has a wide reach and a lot of people that are willing to put down the cash for those kind of knives.
To me, the most important thing was knowing that while I have ideas and a desire to help, that you have to know who to surround yourself with. So I reached out for Peter for advice, and he offered a bit more than just advice, which I was greatly appreciative of. But I knew that someone with his background would at least be able to give me something to think about. And since I was embarking on this, and but he's been very gracious and willing to be whatever help I need in this process. I'm also trying not to take too much advantage of his willingness to help out. So letting him do the least amount of lifting, because I do appreciate the amount of work that he will no doubt have to do on the back end of this one to keep it going properly.
So can you tell us about any of the projects? Are any of the knives finished, or are they all still still in the works?
There are one that is pretty much completed. It's an Apex Ultra core knife that is being worked on. It's a Gyuto style knife that has been worked on primarily by Martin from MK Denmark Knives and Sid from Messer Schmid Schellander.
Yeah.
Those are words I don't say out loud very often, but Sid is a pretty funny guy, and Martin is very, very kind. So they basically for that one, Sid did forged out a pattern welded cladding to go on the Apex Ultra, and he kind of did the blade, and then Martin is finishing it and putting on a handle and completing the blade. So that one probably would be done normally, but Martin just had a baby, and I told him he didn't need to get the knife done immediately, since he would have been the first one through the gates. I said, focus on your family, and we'll get that last bit of work taken care of, in the coming months. We have a maker in South America who did the Arishigane making of the steel, and he has created the blade, and then that's being sent to the United States for completion. So that one is getting closer. We also had a maker from Thailand. I'm not sure how his name is pronounced. Naren Phe, Phe. I always read these names, but I don't always know how they actually say their own names.
No, I think you're right, Phe. Yeah.
But he does some really amazing copper type Damascus work. He made a billet, and is going to that's currently now in Australia, and it's going to be like a kind of like a fusion brisket type knife and Sakimaro slicer. So that should be a pretty bold piece. There's quite a few projects. There's a paring knife that is just getting the finishing work done on the handle. It has a Damascus cladding on that one as well. And then we have just a few other pieces that are in different stages there throughout Europe and the USA, because the project kind of started to come together here over the late summer. And unlike, some other projects, it sort of came out of nowhere for a lot of these makers. So working with their schedules has had some of the projects not really getting started until around the first of the year. One thing that I wanted to be a little bit of a part of the process other than just the coordinating. So I'm sending over a wide variety of handle materials to Eric Gullickson, and then he is going to figure out what he wants to do with that in the handle and the steel. And then when that is completed, he's going to send it over to Steve at Rock Chop to apply his polishing skills to it. So that'll be like our little contribution there. And then ultimately, as you know, it is going to all go to auction, and it's going to be. We chose Children International as our charity. Because, I think all of the makers felt equally that like the plight that children have is the one that, if we can help with the most, that was a strong desire for the group. I got a few different charities together, and I had the group vote on it, and that was the one that we elected to go with. So that will be where the funds will end up going there. But we thought it would be interesting to give back to the community and also give and get some more eyes on the project, so that people outside of those working on it will see what's going on. So actually, I'm going to be doing a giveaway to those that are following the project, and the giveaway is sort of appropriate. It's a handmade leather knife roll that was donated by a maker who makes knives and leather accessories down in Zambia, Africa. So we've got literally every continent outside of those lazy people in Antarctica participating in this project, which is pretty cool.
It sounds like you are coordinating between multiple knife makers, a very intriguing projects, and you are sending, they are sending back and forth materials and doing a lot of collaborative work, and they are not living like next to each other. As I am hearing from Keith, he's always bitching and moaning how it is hard to work with singular knife makers, how they are unresponsive sons of a guns. Could you share your experience? Is it really that hard to work and coordinate multiple knife makers to work on one project? And do they really do not read their emails?
Well, that is a great question. I have lamented that it's sort of like trying to herd cats at times. But the reality is that I guess I have found that there are times where I am chasing people down, even though they volunteered for the project. It's a busy time of the year for a lot of makers, so I tend to try to always operate with understanding. I'm not ever there have been, of course, some. The interesting thing is I didn't say pick a team, although there is a team that picked a team, but that was more of a logistical creation. Initially, the plan, I grouped people based off of their respective schedules. And irrespective of their locations, I sort of liked the idea of having people working together who really maybe didn't even know each other. They might know of each other, but they hadn't worked together before. So I think that's had a generally interesting way of ideas being shared. Of course, there's been some growing pains, and there's been some ideas that were more popular, less popular. There's been anytime you have passionate individuals that are proud of their craft, there's always a likelihood of maybe some ego But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I've always been pretty good at handling people. So maybe it would stress some other people out, but it really hasn't bothered me too much. Um, but yeah, sometimes I have to get creative with how I get their attention to get things moving to the next step and what have you. But overall, I feel like it's been a really positive experience for myself and for the people working with it. There's been obviously, like I say, ups and downs, but overall, I'm really excited about the direction that it's going.
I mean, I guess it's really hard, like if there are 2 or 3 knife makers that are collaborating. If one is responsible for the handle, another for the steel, the third one is for the knife itself or just the blade. I guess the person who is responsible for assembling all of that, he's like, man, this dude made the handle totally wrong. The fit up is wrong, and you have to, and you have to deal with a lot of, how people judge other people's work. Also,
Yeah,
uh,
that's a
yeah,
big deal. Yeah,
doesn't seem easy.
absolutely, because people are putting their name on it, and
Yeah, sure.
I did not put. There was a thought behind. I mean, like I say, it was born of me putting out a basically a Instagram story that said, "Are you interested in a project I'm working on?" Rather than me going, "Hey, Paulie, I'm putting together a project. I'd like to have you come aboard." Where I'm like hand picking individuals. I
Mm-hmm.
I basically took the people that came through and put them together into teams. And what that has done is realistically, there are makers who have that are in the teams. I mean, like I've got Alfredo Fagipieri, and then I've got some makers that like they got like 3 years on them. So putting them together on a team that does create some interesting interactions. I try to I use a mix of communication styles. Some are group conversations and some are one-on-one conversations. I put as someone who uses knives and has a decent understanding of what the end product should look like. I feel like I have some input that I can give that sort of can steer things. But I really don't want even the people that maybe don't have the same like the top the top experience. I think they still have something valuable that can contribute. So, but yes, absolutely, that has been one of the things that I've run into is that people have a concern. They're like, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to the people who are really experienced in forging, they're like, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this billet and then I'm going to send it to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they're going to know if they're going to put the right finish on that I would have put on it. And so it is a bit of a trust exercise, which definitely has been interesting. And perhaps, and my goal is to make this an annual project if it goes well. And I have makers interested in future editions. But honestly, I kind of left it as open as possible for these people to create something that they were, proud of that might have been outside of their normal comfort zones. So, like, out of the 11 blades, I'd say half of them, maybe 7, are chef knife / gyudo type styles. But we've got, like I say, the brisket slicer and the petty style knife. We have Chinese cleaver. We've got a Yanagiba being made. So yeah, I didn't even kind of restrict what styles or types of knives as long as they were culinary applications. And there's going to be a little bit of like a food element. The irony is, I'm not going to probably get my hands on these knives, but one of the things I'd like to do is do little food related posts based on what type of meals I would make with these knives, right? And the recipes will be
Mhm.
picked by the different makers that were in the groups. So it's just kind of because ultimately, as beautiful and collectible as these pieces are, I think every maker ultimately would like the person who buys it to make something that sustains their family, right, or entertains their friends or something, And so, in the spirit of
Mm.
that, my project was born of food. That's where it started from. There's a maker from Russia, Andrei. I can't remember his last name because my brain is going blank. But he was the one who suggested that I share my hobby, which was at the time I would ask the maker I had bought a knife from to pick out a recipe that I would make with their knife. But then he told me I should post it. Before that, it was just a hobby that I did for myself, and oddly, their recommendation has kind of, in a way, led to this, which is I guess maybe the ultimate rabbit hole if you think about it.
Yeah. And my recommendation for our listeners would be, and boys, you guessed it, Kilns. This show is sponsored by minihell.eu, the great kiln maker that is based in Europe. And we got also a discount code for you, which is Carbon5 at checkout. And you can save wonderfully 5% at the wonderful kilns that Baltazar is building, that I'm very proud of having one, and I really want to buy another one, but of course I will try and break his arm and leg to get a better price than all of you. But at least you can use Carbon5 to save some for you. So while you are on there, you can buy also heat treatment foil and heat treatment racks for batch hardening. So please do remember, my dear listeners, if you want to support the show, and you want to do some proper heat treating with appropriate heat treatment recipes, go to minihell.eu and they got the next kiln for you. And now, back to the show.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea, that you get the people to come to you. That way you get the people that are motivated and they want to, they're willing already to work with somebody else. They already kind of know what's going on, instead of just being asked and they say yes to something and you gotta chase them around. I do complain to Polly a lot in the group. It's usually just venting about these people not getting back to you, but honestly, at the end of the day, these people are working, giving you their time and materials a lot of the time, taken away from their business and their income and family time and stuff like that. So you definitely gotta take all that stuff into consideration. But it can be a challenge sometimes.
I have one question just about the project.
Sure.
About, if you have like a team, like how big are the teams? Like 2-3 persons?
Well, it started out as 3 people teams, and then the idea was the general idea was someone would do the steel, someone would do the handle, and then one person would do the finishing, sharpening, that kind of stuff. That was the initial plan.
Yeah.
We ended up having one team become 2, which is the one I mentioned with Martin, just for some logistical. We ended up basically having those 2 operate and complete that blade on their own, and then we created another team of 3 in the place with the third maker who still wanted to be involved, but from a logistics standpoint, it just wasn't working for him to be part of that particular project. So I'm pretty adaptable, and so that group is going to have quite a few names that you guys are no doubt familiar with. It's going to be Ben from Alp Knives and Tim Kogler from Spira, and Mark from Solid Grind. That will be another team that's putting a knife out. I have Hudson Torrens. He's touring Europe, and he will be working on a project while he's out there as well. So that will be. But Hudson's kind of a wild card, so we will see where that one goes. But I'm excited. He's very creative and ambitious young maker. I really have enjoyed having him as part of the project. But yeah, that's the general thing. It's been 2 or 3. It hasn't been more than that. but for the most part, it's been 3.
Yeah, Philip, we can hear you. Sorry to interrupt, but we can hear you tapping on the microphone.
I tapped on it. Sorry for that.
Rubbing. Yeah, and you are. It sounds like you are rubbing. So I guess it's the mouse, the trackpad on the computer,
No,
or something like that.
I just was tapping absentmindedly. So my apologies. It's
Yeah. So my actual question was, which I wanted to go to, is like, is there any like instant? Not like instant, but like from the start of the project for one team, is there a already set design, or every maker does whatever he wants, and when you get the finished blade, then you do the handle and you can do whatever you would like?
When the teams were announced and they were commencing their work, I had each group of the 2 or 3 individuals we had a thread where we discussed what they wanted to make. So first they would decide what style of knife was going to be made, chef knife, French chef, whatever style they were choosing to make. And then they would typically have like a back and forth dialogue discussing what they would like, things they'd like to try, etc. And then I would have different people, and I'd ask them if they wanted to, who wanted to try to mark up or draw out the design. And then once that was agreed, then the work would begin. So there was that. We've had a lot of collaborative of steps, but I would say that once that decision was made as to like how it was going to be organized, what the design of the knife was going to be, it's been largely static from that point. Of course, when you're a knife maker, based on my understanding, is that things don't always go according to plan. So there have been, of course, modifications based on the reality of how things have come together that has caused some changes to handle design or what have you. So yeah, but mostly it's in place, and then if the person's working on the handle, they will largely get their opinion. That'll be like they have the biggest opinion. You know what I mean? Their opinion carries the most weight.
Mm-hmm.
If they're making a handle and they really, really want to make a frame handle, and someone else is saying, no, let's do a full tang. Well, you're not doing the handle. So, what I would ask them what their argument was for for their idea, as opposed to what the other person's suggesting. But ultimately, if there's no real barrier, I'm going to go ahead and have it go to what the person wants to contribute. Obviously, you want to have the whole team be happy with the overall design. And so where, if this was an individual maker making a knife all on their own, where they're making the majority of the decisions themselves, we're really doing something where there is a bit of compromise and collaboration. So there's obviously pros and cons to both sides of it. I think when you do it all on your own, it's much more controlled. You're going to have a product that you are more likely than not going to be very happy with. But I think when you have collaboration, just like with ingredients, the more you have, the more interesting things can happen.
Yeah, and it sounds, at least from my side, it sounds like it's very easy to get something out of hand, where some makers are known for their handle shapes. Let's say Abel knives, that he does the coffin handles only. And this handle, if he is in charge of the handles, this might not go well with the blade shape that was intended and made by the person who is making the actual, the blade shape. And in the end, you could have a very incoherent end result. So I guess the logistics of and just dealing together, like big egos, knife makers, especially the full-time ones, I think it's a very big friction point.
It is, right? But the cool thing is, from a psychology standpoint, is that nobody ever wants to admit to being unreasonable. No, we're almost all unreasonable people. That's the other side of it. But the reality is
Paulie is for
if
sure.
you, I know
Yeah,
I hear him talk, and I go, there's a reason you're not invited. No, just kidding. I'm just playing. But
I missed the story.
you missed the calling. If you want to jump in next time, we'll see, you can see it firsthand. But here's what I do is the purpose behind the sketch is a couple fold. Is I feel like I have a decent eye for something that looks good, and so once we have a sketch, if the sketch doesn't look right, I can say something to the effect of, and I already kind of know who's disagreeing before I say it. So then I can say to person X, hey, I think you agree that this one here, it just doesn't flow as smoothly, right? And they're not going to, in a public spot, disagree. They're going to agree with it. Then I can go back and talk to them privately. They can vent what they're saying. I can reinforce what I'm saying. And that tends to work things out a little bit. And plus, they tend to be objective. Yes, they have their ideas, and you're right. There are certain styles that just don't blend well. Like for example, Alfredo, he has a very polished look. So if the handle maker on his project was adamant on doing the most rustic looking, with nails sticking, kind of weird looking handle, it would be so jarring. It just wouldn't work. So that fortunately didn't happen. The handle for Alfredo's knife that was made through a couple of it had some materials given by a maker in Switzerland who also put like a chip in the handle so that when you scan it with your phone, it will give you the specs of the knife.
An RFI.
Yeah, right, one of those. Yeah. And then he also collected the wood materials himself from different areas of the countryside. So that, it's pretty personal, but then, it was refined and put together by a maker in Romania and then sent to Alfredo. And now he's, kind of finalizing the blade there, and that will have a Damasteel blade. So it's going to be a pretty interesting a knife that I think someone's going to really get a kick out of, because it's I think that, you're never going to see these combinations of makers likely again, because if we continue to do it next year, my inclination would be to mix the teams up, and these are not makers that are in many cases even in the same country, with the exception of that team I just shared. So it's, if you're a collector and you want to collect something one of a kind, you can't get much more one of a kind than a one of one made with a super group of knife makers, so to speak.
Yeah, it sounds like you got your hands full working on with all these different makers on here. Can we just quickly go over again the charity? What's the name of the charity, and where everybody can find you when these knives are finished? Also,
great. Yeah, absolutely. So the charity that it's all going for is Children International. There's a link to the charity right on my Instagram, which is Steel for Good, as 3 different words with the underscore between the words. You can also find Steel for Good through my Steel for Food account if you already follow that. Most of the information is going to be coming out through the Steel for Good page, as well as the projects are coming together. There's different stories showing where the makers are being introduced. The giveaway, which I will announce on the day that this podcast comes out, I'll announce that. So that will be exciting. And then once it has a web presence with Peter, we'll announce how you can get access to it there. But I believe it's going to be on the Modern Cooking website. But it's not. It doesn't have a location there at this time. So right now, basically, Instagram primarily, Steel for Good, and definitely excited to share you guys so you can see what's coming.
Yeah, I think you got a lot of interviews already with some of the makers who have started, or at least you've done some introductions with a little interview with each of the makers. So all of the listeners can go to Steel for Good and check those out.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got introductions for a little more than half of the makers up. There'll be another one tomorrow. I'm trying to do about 3 a week. My Steel for Food website does have interviews of a few dozen knife makers at this point. And some of them are makers that are involved in the project. But that project is basically for anything. So I like to interview makers and share their stories. So there's going to be people who are not involved in the project on there as well.
Very cool. Well, Philip, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast. It was nice talking with you and hearing about the project you're doing.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you guys inviting me on, and it was a pleasure getting a chance to share more about this project.
Definitely. And all the listeners, if you hear the episode and you haven't heard of Steel for Good yet, go check out the Instagram page for the giveaway he'll be doing the day that this comes out. And for the rest of you guys, we will talk to you all next week.
Bye for now. Bye-bye. Tschüss. Auf Wiedersehen. Gute Nacht. Bye-bye. Roll the music. Roll the fucking music. You think I'm gonna do it? Nah. Not this time. Psych. Polly out. Mini hell.